In answer to your question about how do I finish inside of the drawer in my boxes, I use a spray-in flocking. Now there's a lot of them available through all kinds of craft stores. I use one made by Don Jare. You can get it at donjare.com on the internet. And of course I buy it in large quantities, so that's the reason I use them as opposed to just buying little packages at the craft store. But anyway, before you actually start the flocking, the first thing I do, I'll take and paint the inside of the drawer with just a craft paint, an acrylic craft paint. The reason I do that is because of the contrast in the color of the wood. Now I always use two different woods on my boxes, and some of them sometimes the contrast is even more distinct than this. So by painting the inside, I eliminate some of that contrast. It gives me an even nicer looking finish on the inside. The other thing I do is when I'm reassembling the drawer, first putting it together, I spread glue on the inside of the end grain if I'm using oak, such as in this case, because oak has a very open grain. And if I seal the inside, then when it comes time to paint it, I don't have to worry about the paint bleeding through to the outside of my box. You can imagine what it would be like to clean that up because the paint goes all the way through. The other thing I do is I finish the outside of the drawer before I finish the inside. So that if when I'm painting I happen to get a little bit of paint on this edge, for example, I can just wipe it off. If I haven't finished it and that's raw wood and I get paint on there, it'll absorb into the wood and it's much more difficult to clean up. So anyway, when that's done, then I just take the paint the inside of the drawer and make sure that it's covered all the way around. Now this one's already been painted, so I set it over in my box, and I just took a big box and lined it with wax paper so that I can save the excess flocking. And I'll spray in the end, spray the other side, the bottom, and the other side. Now I'm going to spray it more than that, of course. The instructions say spray it till it's well covered, and then spray it some more. And I think that's the case. You need to make sure that it is well covered with flocking. You're not going to waste it. You're going to catch all the excess here, so don't hesitate to use plenty of flocking to make sure it's well covered. You'll get a nicer finish. And after you finish it, then we set it aside and let it dry. I usually set it aside overnight, and the next morning I come in and knock the excess out. Now this one actually I painted yesterday, so what I do is I'll just tap it upside down, knock that excess out. Then I take a little brush and just kind of go over it and get any excess, any that's loose, knock it out, blow out the last few grains, and that's finished. So it basically completes the box. Now, one last thing that I do is I take these little buttons that, like this, that you can buy. You put them in the on your cabinet doors to keep them from banging. Most any hardware store will have them. I put them on the bottom of the box so that when I set it on a nice piece of furniture, I don't scratch that furniture. Then I also put one down in the back of the box, because when you build this drawer, of course, you cut the front and the back off, and the drawer is now narrower. So that makes it so that it moves that drawer out and is more flush with the face of the box. The other thing I do is I put them on the bottom of the drawer. Now that makes it so it slides a little easier and a little quieter, and it also makes me have even space around the face of the drawer. Instead of a big gap at the top and nothing at the bottom, it's more even all the way around. So basically that's how I use the flocking and how I finish the inside of the drawer. And if you have any questions, if I didn't make myself clear, don't hesitate to call me or get a hold of me through the website. Thanks.